going to can some cherries, and I wanted to show you how I prefer to do it. There are several ways that I do preserve cherries. So I freeze them, I can ferment them, and then I also can them. And I love canning cherries because it's super fast. My older girls this morning went ahead and pitted the cherries already for me. So that saved me a step. You don't have to do that. You can always just leave the pits in them, raw pack them like that. And then when you go to enjoy them for a snack in the winter, the kids can just spit them out and it's no big deal. But anyway, they wanted to save that step for me, so I'm very grateful.
Them like that. And then you put it in there. And the cherry seed falls in there. In there? Like a cherry. Mommy!
So first of all, you want to go ahead and make sure that your jars are free from any cracks or any nicks at the top. And all you do is just run your finger across and make sure it's real smooth. And if it is, your lids will seal. But if it is not, I wanted to make sure that you knew that your lids will not seal properly if they do have any nicks on the jar. So go ahead and just throw those away because they will not work for canning. I wanted to mention that my jars have already been heated up in hot water, so they are warm and ready to go for raw packing. And I use apple cider from our local orchard that we have just down the road from us. And so it's a real handy way to raw pack cherries in cider instead of a sugary syrup. Now I know some people prefer that, but if I'm feeding it to my family, I just didn't really feel right feeding them a sugary snack. So this is kind of a better alternative for me and just something I prefer to do. Now, if you don't have apple cider on hand or an orchard close to you, you can always use like an organic apple juice. That is always a good option too. So if you're trying to avoid sugar, this is a really good option. I'm gonna go ahead and show you raw pack these cherries. Oops, I already dropped one. And you want to make sure that there's plenty of head space. I am notorious for making my jars way too full and then regretting it later. So these kind of push down a little bit because they are a little bit flexible. Okay, I think I can maybe put one more in there. You want about 1 inch to 1.5 inches head space. I kind of just make sure mine's about 1 inch, and that usually works really well. And all I really do is just bring the apple cider up to like almost a simmer where the steam's coming off and it's really, really warm. That way I have warm jars, room temperature cherries, and hot apple cider. Now what's really, really fun about this sometimes is I have added like vanilla extract or almond extract, and it makes the juice so yummy when I open it up in the winter time. It tastes fresh. It's really, really good. So I left about 1 inch headspace there, if you can see that. Always make sure that I have a clean rag straight from the drawer that I wipe my jars off with when I put the lids on. And that way I know that I have a clean seal. And I tighten, not super tight, but you don't want the lids also, when the boiling process happens, you don't want the lids to come off. So snug is what I like to say. There we are, and I will show you the next step of getting ready to put this into my canner. And you want to make sure that all your equipment is out on the counter so you don't have to run and get everything last minute. You want to make sure that you're all prepared because it just makes this process so much smoother. Now I have already made sure that my jars were warm when I raw packed the cherries, and this is actually to the point where it's probably about 200 degrees, so almost boiling. I went ahead and turned that off when we were packing the cherries earlier, so now I'm ready to put my hot jars in hot water but not boiling. So I just take this little tool that is my canning friend. Jars are a little hot, so I'm gonna try not to touch them. A whole lot. There we go. So 7 jars can fit in my water bath. Alrighty. Okay, and I have quarts in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and boil mine for 25 minutes. Now, I will start the 25 minutes right when it starts to boil. Then you start your timer, and then when it beeps, you're done. But don't start the timer until you have that full boil. Was to make sure that you check on your recommendations on where you live and your altitude, because whether you're at sea level or you're on a mountain, it does matter. Your elevation matters with your time, whether it's pints or quarts. So go ahead and check that first before you start your timer. And I'm gonna start mine, and I'll see you back here in 25. Today has been so busy. I ended up feeding my family supper, and now I'm on my third batch of cherries for the evening. And it's midsummer, so the sun is out until, well past 8:30, 9:15 really. So we ate supper, we cleaned it up, we went to the garden, we played some volleyball, and now I'm back in the kitchen getting my third round of cherries. But when you saw me before, I said 25 minutes. Well, we ran into the busy part of life, right? So taking as much precaution as you can to not clink the glasses together. I don't know if you can see this, but you're gonna see bubbles going up, and that's perfectly normal. Yes, baby? What I do want to emphasize is that you really need to leave your jars undisturbed for 18 to 24 hours. Now that's my preference. I do have a lot of friends who that leave theirs on the counter for 4, 6, 10 hours, and they think it's okay. And that is just my preference though. The longer the better. So I kind of can all day and leave them overnight up until like the next afternoon. So right before supper is usually when I try to put everything away the following day. Once it's cool, I label and put them in my back room, and I have them all kind of in order of date, just like a grocery store would. So that's kind of how my process works. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you, and just let me know in the comments below, and you guys have a great summer.